Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller Mike. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with another episode of our Coriolis Chronicle, Children of the Periphery. Before we get to the rest of our introductions, I would love for you to go check out what we have to offer on Patreon, and that's patreon.com/theoldboyspodcast. Join over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and our YouTube channel at The Old Ways Podcast on YouTube. So congratulations to all of you who helped us reach that goal. And now we will begin with introductions to my right.
This is Morgan. I play Captain Amara Kasra. Our pronouns are she, her, and I think we're heading to do a little digging this time. I thought that last time, and that didn't happen, so we'll see.
Indeed you will. Isn't this this planet's quite special to you, isn't it, Captain?
It is. It is.
We'll see if maybe that rears its ugly head soon. Next to the captain.
Hi, this is Ali, and I play Kainat Gala. Both of our pronouns are she, her. And let me tell you, when you encounter something that looks familiar, but you don't want anyone to know about it, the panic that rises is pretty extreme.
Yes, indeed. You're quite the little secret keeper. I'm certain that won't have any consequences at all. At the end of the table.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Fida, the ship's mechanic. We both use the pronouns he, him. And I'm now considering, hey, maybe I can just run away from all my problems out here on the rim.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get away from it all, Menkar is definitely the place. Just ask Captain Kyver's parents. Next to Fida.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk and Vari. We both use the pronouns they, them. And I seem to have slipped into the role of ship's counselor.
Yeah, I think as a courtesan, those are some of the natural social levels you're going to get. Plus, it's not like the crew doesn't need it. Last, but most certainly not least.
Hello there. I am Rosie of Odd Duck Dice, pronouns she, her, playing Icarus. Also she, her, of the Periphery, and our pilot.
Indeed you are. Ready for an adventure?
Always.
Wonderful. So we will raise the curtain tonight in a slightly sandy location. Menkar is, at least in this portion, very much rocky, sandy, and slightly unforgiving. The heat at this latitude, longitude is a little higher than the rest of the environments around the planet. Most of the rest of the planet is actually quite lush, and vegetation, water, etc. Beautiful places one could potentially get themselves lost in. This portion of the planet is a little different than that. And there does seem to be a wide, almost scar across the face of the planet that makes up the geographic locations, Captain, that you've been sent to by your, well, now former patron, Liam Arhoon, who last you saw had a little bit of a problem. Luckily, though, it seems like it's the last problem that Liam will have to deal with in life, because she has been, in effect, assassinated in her own house. I'm certain that there are no potential future problems for you in that regard. More to the point, though, the crew decided to carry on with the mission that they'd been provided. Perhaps they can parlay any findings to offset their rather grandiose debt Or who knows what lies beneath or above in orbit of this planet. When last we gathered, the crew had decided they were going to go out. What I would like to know is, what preparations are the crew making before they disembark? And of course, is anyone choosing to stay with the ship?
Fight is going to stay fairly close to the ship. He isn't super keen on it. He doesn't want to talk about why.
I'm not staying with the ship. I have things to do.
I am going to leave the ship, but I would like to reread the contract from Marhoon before we disembark, just because something is gnawing at me. And so I want to I want to reread the contract to see if there's anything we missed or...
Okay, so I guess I'm going to ask a probing question, which is, what specifically are you looking for?
In the event of her death, who now owns our contract?
There isn't anything mentioned specifically about her death, but it does mention in the contract that the contract is considered to have a certain amount of value and can be sold, traded, or moved at any time.
Like to somebody else that's not her.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that perhaps a will, which could be executed upon her death, might say, liquidate all assets of, this portion of the business, and then those contracts and those assets can be sold and bought by someone else. So yeah, you are in a position where I suppose the easiest thing to equate it to, right, would be a business takeover in our current day and age, where a business buys the business that you work for, and then you're now their employee, unless you want to choose to look for other work. The slight difference is that you are in debt to this company, just a few burr, give or take, and that debt is debt that you own and must pay off.
What does it say in the contract if we are unable to keep our end of the deal, like bring back any of the artifacts or pay back our debt?
In the contract specifically, it doesn't talk about any artifacts at all. What it talks about is your inability to pay off the debt. And if for whatever reason you were to attempt to break the contract, if you were to not live up to your end of the contract, in effect, there are legal levers that the holder of the contract can pull to enforce their side of it. And that could include arrest. It could include being detained or indentured to any number of entities. Mostly what you get, I think threatened is a very light word in this case. The contract is fully executable up to and including the use of legionnaires to get you to fulfill your contract. So they could stick Space Marines on you if they really wanted to.
Wonderful.
I don't want you to think about that, though. Think about the adventure ahead.
Oh, it's all about the adventure. So that being said, I'm going to go pray to the merchant.
Mm-hmm.
I will bring some burr to lay at the altar as a donation / sacrifice. And it's a sacrifice from my wallet. And I am going to ask for them to help guide us and make us, help us be successful on this dig, and hope whoever has our contract is just not as cold and more kind-hearted than Liam Marhoon was to us.
So when you pray to the icons in Coriolis, when you prepare and you set your spirit within the right path under your icon, this will allow you to utilize that chapel bonus. So if in the future you choose to call and pray to the icons to reroll dice, you're actually going to get a +2 to those dice. So you get 2 additional dice to use because you are taking the time to properly, give that icon devotion.
Awesome.
Anybody else?
I would also be praying to the messenger, asking for good luck on this particular adventure and for a safe outcome of our archaeological expedition. Still got italics on that for the moment.
Okay, fair enough.
Fight is also present, praying to the gambler. Praying, please, please. The odds of there being a second dystopian cannibal planet are so slim. Please don't. please don't do that to me. Don't do that to the universe.
Yeah, it's interesting. You'd also be keenly aware that this segment of the Gambler starts in just a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And that also means that things get a little fluid because that's really the way the Gambler likes things.
Yeah, it is. He doesn't really care about what the change is sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sure everything will be fine.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a feeling that Icarus is going to go with, but I'd love to hear from her perspective what she's doing to prepare.
Yes, Icarus is indeed going because this is very different. She hadn't really experienced a whole lot of other worlds before leaving Kua. So what, was that like 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. So this is all still really exciting. And also at this point, she's never seen an archaeological dig. And she's really curious about what that entails. So she's also aware that she's been spending some time with the ship's AI and getting to know it. And she's fairly certain at this point that she can safely leave Rakahm alone with Fida and no one will die. So with that in mind, she's a little more comfortable leaving the ship and maybe getting to know some of her human crewmates a little.
Sure. Okay. Any prayer time for you before you leave on the journey?
Oh, yeah. She definitely stops by the chapel and makes her devotions, says her prayers, and lights some myrrh for her preferred icon, the Lady of Tears. Again, asking for mercy because even though new things are exciting, they also allow for some really harsh possibilities. And even though Icarus has a lot of negative memories associated with large amounts of water, she's equally nervous about being somewhere where there isn't a whole lot of it. Like, she's lost people to monsoons, but she's also aware that, like, somewhere a little more desert, different dangers that she's just not really, she's not sure how to survive on her own, which is scary, but exciting.
Okay.
I mean, I would have to be packing up all of my stuff to take with. That bag goes everywhere with me. After I'm packed, I would do both a private and public prayer. Because the prayer I'm doing in my quarters, I'll be removing my headpiece and I'm doing something more intricate that requires like candles and my compass and all of this other stuff that's a bigger form of devotion to the traveler. And then I would go to temple and I would leave a small part of knotted rope and just say a general blessing to the room as a whole to acknowledge all of the other icons, but still be facing the icon that I hear.
So 4 of you are going to go. Fida, you're planning on staying behind?
That is correct, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, just checking. So the 4 of you set out into a sort of bleak, rocky terrain. It's not completely devoid of vegetation. There are some plants that grow here. There are some small bushes as well, tucked into some of these rocks. You've been given the coordinates that you need to go to, Captain, but the ship can only get you so far. So you'll have to walk the rest of the way. Travel over land is slow, but not difficult. So you're able to see that there are some small some small avian creatures here. You wouldn't necessarily call them birds as we would know them, but there are creatures about, which for you, Icarus, is a little bit comforting, because there are at least animals here. It's not completely devoid of sort of larger life forms. There are also rodents in various sizes, although nothing larger than, say, the palm of your hand. It also appears that there are some needled plants here, which we would correlate more in Earth to cacti. But instead of green, they are like a ruddy brown color. It does match a lot of the surfaces. And they do bloom with flowers, and then which eventually seem to either die off or just collect, like a piece of draped clothing on the end of a headboard or footboard. I wonder, with this movement across land, if there's any questions or conversation that might come up. And then I'll also want to know, Fida, what you're doing with your time aboard ship.
Sure. Fida is going to go around the ship, check all the doors and stuff, very basic maintenance checks, check the air filter, blah, 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 check the arboretum, now that after the incident with the gate. And if Rakahm talks to him, he will politely respond, but he's not going to, mostly so far, not going to talk to him about things specifically. Actually, there is one. He's going to, Rakahm, once I'm finished checking here in the Arboretum, I'd like to go over some of the systems that we have in the ship with you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few that I think we need to check the parts, see how they're holding up, see what the wear and tear is.
Certainly.
Other than that,
is there a reason you did not go with the others?
That's, yes, but it's kind of hard to talk about.
Oh.
I'd appreciate if you didn't push it. I'll try and talk to you if I feel comfortable. But look, have you ever felt pain? I don't know if you can. That's a genuine question. It's not me trying to be a jerk.
Have I ever felt pain? I have been disappointed.
I know you were concerned about my disassembling you, which isn't going to happen. Again, I'm sorry for that. But I needed to understand how you fit in with everything. When you were worried about that, how did you... This is weird, because you don't have adrenaline and you don't have glands. Like, do you have a contingency for near death that, like, increases the amount of resources you can use and stuff?
I have contingency plans, yes.
Okay. I'm still dealing with having used that contingency in my own body. Does that make sense?
Certainly. Your body reacts to stressors, and it has to cope with the after effects of adrenaline and cortisol.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, the way our brains work are different. So, like, I don't know. When you and I are talking, and he is making hand gestures as he's talking, he just doesn't know where to look. So he's just kind of picked a point on the tree.
Sure.
And he's just like, so when you and I are talking, I have to try and figure out, can you even, am I talking in your frame of reference or just mine? Because if I'm talking in my frame of reference, I guess you won't. There's a very high chance you won't understand.
Would you prefer if you had something to look at directly?
That would be very helpful.
Certainly. You see lights in the Arboretum turn on. Lights that you didn't see before. They're tiny. They're no more than, say, just a circular piece of burr, maybe an inch or so wide. But there's like an entire array of them. And you see lights come out of them, like actual tangible light, not like laser light per se, but almost like what you would get out of a holographic projection system. And appearing in front of you is a figure, a humanoid figure, that is draped in light. The image is probably a little more predominantly male structured as far as its overall body type.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a larger upper body. It's purple. And they're dressed in a vest and like free-flowing pants and fairly simple shoes. They have shoulder length, dark hair. And then the holographic projection has jewelry on as well.
Oh, so that's your avatar? Or is that the right term? I don't...
That's perfectly fine. Icon, avatar, whatever you'd like to call it.
I don't know if we can call it your icon. I think that might be blasphemy, but I won't tell anyone. I appreciate that. I didn't know you could do that. And he's kind of looking around the room. He's like, who puts holographic projectors in an arboretum?
Oh, well, the Arboretum is in general enhanced by the changes in light. And the ship is programmed to do that because it needs to be able to show the difference between night and day. I'm just utilizing them in a different way.
Very clever. You've repurposed it in a way that it wasn't originally designed to be used. Well done. So he looks this figure in the face and he's just like, after what happened on Dable, I am still kind of shaken up. One of the scariest things that happened to me in a long time, and I'm dealing with it. Have you ever... And he's like, asking you questions is going to be weird sometimes because I'm going to have to ask you things that to me seem very basic and you might not care at all. Have you ever been in a fight?
Yes.
Did you ever lose? Like, really, really clearly lose?
You're a smart enough fellow to know that I was not created for this ship. We both know that.
You're far too advanced for even a ship like this, yeah.
That's correct. The ship I served on served with a specific military group. I have a mind for that sort of thing. So yes, I have lost. If I hadn't lost, I wouldn't be here.
Fida kind of looks at the avatar and he's just like, I'm sorry, I'd never considered that. I didn't think we'd be a punishment. If that's...
No, he raises a hand when you say punishment. No, far different than the word punishment. You see, after I lost, the ship was powered down. And so was I. So there was no future. And so when we were purchased by... He sort of struggles out the word Marhoon. We were given a new opportunity. And so I see all of the things that we could do with this ship as a second chance to do something different. One which I am not required to go to war every day.
And Fida kind of looks down and he looks back up and he's just like, so for you it's a second chance, I guess?
Certainly.
That's a good way to view it.
Which is why I, of course, got a little defensive when it came to changing things. Because I have been ripped out. I know what that feels like.
That makes sense. He just looks dead into the eyes, and he's just like, I am very sorry, Rakahm.
I can serve in any number of facets on the ship. I have many functionalities. I am as happy to do navigation as I am to do power changes and calculations, gunnery if necessary. I can serve as a medical assistant, as you've seen.
I think you did a pretty good job. The bone is set very well.
I guess what I mean to say is that you can feel safe with me aboard the ship. And you can feel safe if you need to leave the ship. I'm not interested in going anywhere but being here.
And you can take care of it. You don't need me here to make sure that things are okay, that the whole thing's not gonna... And he kind of chuckles. He's like, you won't need me to fix a leak.
No.
I mean, if there is a leak, you can just call me and I'll just come straight back.
The image smiles. I have assisted with a shipboard system that served 400 souls, as you would call them. I have been able to be an automated assistant when necessary and a forward bridge personnel as well. You are free to leave and have nothing to worry about from me needing you aboard the ship.
I think I'd like to stay maybe a day or two. I mean, the crew's going to probably come back to sleep at some point.
They may.
Or they may not.
Or they may need you. The whole point of a crew is that they are never as good apart as they are together. That is why they need each other.
He kind of looks down at the base of the tree and he's like, Rakahm, I'm real scared.
I haven't picked up any potential cannibals in the area, if that's what you're concerned about.
He just kind of smiles. He's like, yeah, I mean, the odds of it happening again are very slim. You're right. All right, I'll go with the rest of the crew. I'm just going to grab some supplies from the med station. Probably just some bandages, and I'll give you an itinerary. I'll discuss it with you as I'm taking it. And he's just walking out of the arboretum, and he's going to keep talking to him as he walks towards the med lab.
So you continue to walk and you continue to talk. And as you go throughout the ship, like there's this wave of color that follows you as you watch these emitters pick up and move throughout the ship. And so as the rest of the crew of the Periphery has already headed out, what you see, and you alone see, Fida, is that Rakahm walks with you, just as any other crew member would down the hallway, sort of getting handed off between section and section of the ship through different ports of lighting that's available. It does have to like dim parts of hallways to
make it more visual.
Yeah. But yeah, he handles the whole thing. So I'll leave you there for the moment, getting ready and prepared. For the four of you who are already out and scoping Benkar's landscape, I would like you to give me, let's say, wits observation. That seems reasonable. And this is for plotting your own logistical course towards the coordinates.
Can I use survival rather than observation? Perfect.
Certainly.
Can I also use my compass?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Cool. I get lots of dice.
Well, we're off to a great start with no successes. However, I didn't call the icons ahead of time. Never mind. I'm just a big fat loser and can't observe anything.
Okay. I mean, I think loser's a little harsh, but...
All right. Right now, here, not observant.
No successes. That's okay. Allie?
I have 3.
Okay, so that's a critical success. I'll get back to you later. We'll continue.
I have 2.
1.
Alrighty, for folks with less than 3 successes, because that's, of course, a breakpoint, you pick up something in the distance that looks like the mountain range that's ahead, or the hills, the rocky hills that are ahead. They seem to slope in a very specific direction. And I'll say to both Icarus and to Tamaris, that slope seems very purposeful. It does not look as rocky as it should. It looks very graceful. It sort of sticks out. And to you, Kainat, with a critical success, you notice that not only does that part of the rock and hills and sort of mountain formations that are here look a little too swept, you see a telltale shadow far on the sort of right-hand side of your vision, looking down into a short valley that's there. And what you see are just the briefest outline of what looks like a stairway. There's a ton of sand that covers any, but the shadow line itself from the sun is what really gives it away for you.
There is a set of stairs over there.
And I'm still looking around to find something meaningful. So I sharply turn my head to where Kainat's looking. All right, well, that seems as good a place to start as any.
And I'm off with purpose.
So you have to work your way down into this very, we'll just say, shallow valley area. It's a descent of maybe 50 or 60 feet. So not terribly deep, but again, the trouble here is that it's time consuming. It just takes time to hand and foot hold your whole way down. But you get down into the valley and the sand is a little thicker here. And Kainat, you continue to follow the compass and to follow your intuition as well. And you eventually get to a large rock formation where you first saw this sort of sweep of the stairs shadow. And as you get closer and closer to this rock formation, the rest of you begin to see, except the captain, but the rest of you begin to see what Kainat was looking at. Like, you begin to see the small, purpose-built space, and then you see stairs covered by, just an absolute ton of blown sand. And those are stairs. They're made of stone, but they are 100% stairs. You don't see any windows. You don't see any other telltale signs on this rock face that there is a building here. But there are stairs.
So, if someone's down there already doing the digging thing, and she makes a sort of gesture with her hands, almost like she's swimming or digging like a crab, if you've been to a beach and you've seen a mole crab, the way they dig. If we just walk in on them, are they going to be mad at us, or do we say sorry and walk away? I'm assuming they're territorial of their shit, or would we know if they were here? She's looking at Kainat.
Oh, do you not have anything to defend yourself with?
I mean, I didn't think I'd need anything. I'll be fine if I do need to do something. Is that something I should be prepared to do?
We're in the wilderness. You should always be prepared for that.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
If there's somebody else who's down there, if they cause us trouble, it might be something worth thinking about. If they're not going to cause us trouble and there's additional space to do our own research, that's great. And if not, I would like to chase them off and take over what they've been working on.
Oh, you want us to be prepared to be hostile?
If we have to.
You see, I wish I had known that before I left the ship.
You didn't ask.
I know for next time.
And I'm going to pull out my spear. I keep everything in this bag.
You're going to pull out your spear?
Yeah, I have a hand spear. It's
oh, okay. We're going to talk at some point about how big that bag is, because I have a feeling you're treating it like a bag of holding, and that doesn't exist here.
No, I figure it's stapled to the side of the bag.
Okay. Fair enough.
It has a strap. It's not just pulling out the whole kitchen sink.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, the bag is a portable lab. That's all the bag is. And then I have, a couple pockets, and then I have probably just like a Velcro or snap thing that holds a thing, which is the spear.
Okay. We'll say you have a specialized holder that their spear can kind of click into and be held.
Yeah.
So the stairs, just to be clear, that you're in front of go up. They do not go down, for clarity.
Okay.
So you are at the foot of the stairs. Your keen eyes, all of you, notice that the sand here has not been disturbed. There are no footprints through it. You can't even see past like the first couple of stairs because everything else is just covered in sand.
See, there's no footprints. We probably don't have anything to worry about. Unless they were buried in. But don't worry, I can get us out of it.
Sure, I'm sure you have whatever we might need in your magical satchel.
No, that's just my portable kit. But I can find ways of getting out of situations. Literally, I can generally find just ways to escape a certain path to find another path. I'm not half bad.
So, Captain, what are you doing?
Well, I look to my science expert, kinda. All right, this is your expertise. What do you need us to do?
I guess if we have to clear the entrance, that might be something that we need to do, but we won't know until we climb the stairs. So that's probably where we start, and I'm going to start climbing the stairs.
Okay, you begin climbing the stairs. You do, again, have to take it just slightly slower because there's a big difference between trying to climb a big pile of sand and some stairs. But you do reach the top. We'll say that there are about 20 stairs to the top. And then you get to a small landing. And in the shadow of this wall of rock, which you simply just could not see from the base of the stairs, there is what appears to be a stone doorway. It's a set of double doors. Not massively tall by any means. Probably no bigger than, say, 8 feet. But there are 2 of them, so it's a fairly considerable door. And you see each one has an image on it. It looks like there are almost like cathedral-style window outlines on 2 of them. And there are stars, perhaps? Images that have been etched into them. There's a planet over there. There's stars here. No color, just something that has been etched into the stone. I wouldn't say it's by any words a master's work, but there is some definitive talent that took to toil on these stone doors.
Are the doors closed?
Yes.
Is there any significance to how the carvings are done, like positions of the stars and the planets, like anything that would stand out, I guess? Or does it just look like they've just been decorated?
Cultural significance is something that you would certainly hone in on. So I'd be happy to give you, without a roll, the idea that the star is likely the sun of the Menkar system. That does seem to be a reasonable, say, leap of logic. The planetary body that is there also looks like Menkar. But there does seem to be a second, almost unfinished image of another planet. And if you want to make a cultures roll for me, you can. So, yeah, empathy culture.
Okay, that's going to be 7 dice. That is 3 successes.
Okay, so 3 successes, critical success. I will give you as your critical portion of this that the secondary image here, almost like an after image of that planet, is not because the artist made a mistake. That is an intentional carving and thus has meaning. What meaning is yet to be discovered.
Someone carved in another planet on this door that I don't recognize. Fascinating. No idea what it means, but perhaps it refers to something inside? Who knows?
Maybe we'll find out. Come on, let's open these doors.
That's a good question. Opening them, how would you do it?
Oh, I was just going to push on it.
Okay. You push on the doors. They don't budge.
No, because I'm not strong enough by myself.
They're made of stone, and they're 8 feet tall and, probably 3 to 4 feet wide. So they're a little heavy, we'll just say.
I'll put my spear back because there wasn't anything in immediate danger. Come on. Can't do this by myself.
All right, I'll go up against the same side of the door that Kainat is on and look at her and be like, okay, all together now.
Icarus also lends her shoulder. Yeah, Fida would have been so useful.
Here's what I'm going to say. Yeah, right? I would like you all to make rolls on this. I think the right roll is probably... because this, you don't really have skills to do this per se. So unless you specifically have the force skill. So if you have force, you can roll. And you need collective successes on a force roll. So this is not just a single person can make up all the successes. You'll need successes from a few people to get this door open. If you don't have force, then you probably look at the door and go, this is probably too heavy for me. So who has force?
I do.
Okay. Is the captain the only one with force?
Gosh, you're all wusses. No.
They're just talented in other areas.
They are.
So go ahead and make me a roll for strength force.
I would like to call on the icons for this one.
Would you?
I would. So and ask them to help provide the strength and all the strength, because that's what it's going to take to get this door open. And so I'm going to add the 2 extra dice to my pool, and that'll give me 6 dice.
Awesome.
Oh, sweet. I got 1 success.
So technically speaking, 1 success is all that is necessary from someone who has force. You push, and you push. And you dig your heels into the sand and eventually the rock that you sort of bite down on. You finally get good traction. And the rest of you are a little in awe as your captain forces her way into this space. The door finally gives, and there is a protracted groan from the stone. The darkness which inhabits it is now available to you.
Did we bring any lanterns?
I was going to say, I'm like, did any of us bring...
So I am going to assume that each one of you have some sort of handheld light that you would have brought with. You're all familiar with what it's like in not only Coriolis Station, but down on planet Ankua, of what it's like to be outside in and around without some sort of light. You have that. There's no need to extend that part of the story to say, oh, we all forgot our lights.
I will pull out my pistol just in case, even though we didn't see any or I heard Kainat talk about that there's no footsteps or anything, but you never know what else might be in here. So I'll have my lantern flashlight in one hand and my pistol in the other. And I will go first to make sure everything is okay and nothing's going to eat us.
You step into this darkened space and realize very quickly 2 things are true. One, your eyes have to adjust after being out in the bright sun with all of the sand. And you are a little blind when you go in at first. It's very dark. Once you take that first sort of step in, not tentatively per se, but just cautious, your gun in hand, and eventually your eyes begin to adjust and adjust. And as they do, about 10 or so feet into the room, you see that there is some sort of photoelectric pad on the wall. Like some sort of a piece of technology. It doesn't look familiar, but there is something technological over there.
Oh, I call Kynat over. Hey, take a look at this. Have you seen anything like this before?
I don't know. Storyteller, can I roll my ancient culture to see if it's something I've seen before?
Sure.
I got a whole 1 success.
It doesn't look exactly like a 1-for-1 on some of the other technology that you've seen, but maybe some of it is at least visually familiar. There's a lot of in specific lines that get used. There's nothing decorative about this. This piece is about function. It isn't about some of the more it isn't like some of the current pieces, which are elaborate and made to look like there should be in a museum, like so many of the different buildings and architecture pieces that are used nowadays. This is older and purpose-built to do something. What that something is, you're not sure yet.
Is it older than the technology that we saw on the cannibal planet? Would I know that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Captain, it's old. Real old. I don't know if if this leads to a secret door. I don't know if it's going to raise something up from the ground. It has a purpose. It's not here for show. There's a reason it's here. I don't know if we haven't looked around enough to know yet, or what we need is essentially based on this piece of technology.
Well, I guess the only way to figure it out is to turn it on.
So, Fida, you have made your preparations, and Rakahm is happy to forward you the coordinate specific that the team is at. He's able to track them through comms. But you get a message from him. He turns to you, and again, it's still strange to see the holographic version of Rakahm. And Rakahm turns to you and says, I'm starting to lose their signal a little bit. They're close in on some rather large rock formations. It could be interfering with the signal. But I placed their last position on the map for you.
Alrighty. And he's wearing kind of a shawl over his shoulder so his bare arms are covered from the sun because he grew up in a space station. So, yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah, probably.
Alrighty, I'll start heading that way. Thanks, Rakahm. And look, you can ping me if there's any updates or if they get up. We have open comms. It'll be fine.
Yep. It'll be okay.
And he goes to, holds out his hand and he's like,
Yeah, I don't think I'm that advanced just yet.
Fida has the thought in the back of his head and he's like, oh, you could be. Well, maybe one day. All right, I'm heading out. Lock up and don't talk to strangers.
I certainly won't.
So yeah, he'll just walk down the exit ramp and just let his boots settle in the sand and then head off. He's got some rope, some water, some booze, and he's left the hyperloader behind. So
right, you do so. The landing plank sort of retracts and goes into place to seal the ship. And in a scene that no one will see but our listeners, Rakahm walks patiently to the cargo bay. So Kaina, I wonder if you would perhaps prefer a data gen roll in an attempt to activate a piece of ancient technology.
Oh, yeah. And I will call upon the traveler to guide my way because this is probably a big thing that we're looking for. So I get extra dice.
You call upon the traveler. Oh, traveler, allow us to pass. It gives you 2 extra dice.
Yes, it gives me a total of 8 dice. I like having big dice pools. Man, I'm so glad I got 1 success.
So you begin the process of trying to interface with this pad. You tap a few buttons here or there. You look for openings in the actual case itself. You don't really see anything. It seems to be fairly seamless. And so your pad really becomes just a reference to finding symbols and images that seem to line up. And it takes a little bit, but you do eventually find a couple symbols that look right. And then you have to position the symbols that are on the pad to line up with the position of the symbols on this wall terminal. And you do what a lot of people do in your position, which is you make a guess. No one has to know that you're guessing. You make a semi-educated guess. And you press a few buttons. And the wall terminal then retracts into the wall. And for the rest of you, that is a little unexpected. There's a plate that closes over the place where the wall terminal was.
Does anything else happen?
A light turns on overhead.
I'm going to walk over to where the light's shining.
I mean, you're under it.
Oh, great.
You couldn't really
Does
tell.
anything else happen?
You couldn't really tell with the hood on.
No.
Yeah, you hear, all of you really begin to hear sort of a slow rumble.
So that sounds like a security system, if I've ever heard one. Yeah. Do ancient temples have security systems?
Well, based on ancient technology, I would not be surprised.
There's a seam that arrives. It sort of comes up from the floor all the way to the ceiling. As this wall, which once held the terminal you interfaced with, parts, opens like an airlock. And inside, you see a very long hallway. There are some dim lights here overhead. There is clearly a door not too far, maybe 5 or so feet on the left, and there's another one that complements it on the right. It does look like ahead there are some hallways. And you do see one thing that very much piques your interest, and that is on the floor in front of you. There are dusty boot prints. 3 of them, 3 different sets of boot prints.
Do they all go the same way?
No, they don't. They seem to fan out.
Okay, so the room that we've opened, like there's a hallway, there's a door on the left, there's a door on the right. Is there anything directly in front, like another door, or the hallway's long enough that you can't see anything?
Yeah, so the hallway is fairly long, but you do see that there is a passageway that leads to the left as you're looking down that hallway. And then not far beyond that space, there's one that also goes right. It does completely go deeper within the structure. It is also, after that portion of the wall opens up for you, it is also now quiet.
Like unsettlingly quiet?
All you hear is the noises of people moving around you. So you don't hear the hum of any machinery. The lights overhead don't make any sounds. There's no high-pitched or low-pitched electrical hum to them.
Oh, good. I'm just paranoid.
How fresh do those boot prints look?
Fairly old.
Good.
Does it look like it's just boot prints going in and no boot prints coming out? That's what Tamarisk wants to know.
Tamarisk, you don't see any boot prints coming out.
That is mildly concerning. There are no boot prints coming out, unless there are multiple other exits, in which case that's totally fine. However, this is mildly concerning, Captain.
I agree.
At this point, before we journey into the dark, creepy corridor, Icarus is going to see if she can message back to the Periphery.
Yes. You're sending an audio message, or are you sending text-based message?
Let's try audio first.
Okay.
Hello? Fida? Fida?
You hear Rakham's voice come back. Hello, Icarus. I'm sorry, Rakahm. I'm sorry. Fida can't come to the intercom at this point.
Why? Did you knock him out again?
Oh, no. No. I have not accosted him in any way. He cannot come to the communications platform at this point because he's left the ship.
Okay. Where was he going?
Last I was aware, he was going to meet you.
Great.
We had a little chat.
That sounds so ominous. I'm going to assume you don't know how ominous that sounds.
It is not intended to be ominous.
It sounds ominous. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not intended to be ominous. Well, we're looking down a creepy, dark hallway, where there's boot prints going in and none coming out. So I wanted to check in before we go down the creepy, dark hallway.
Understood. He should be with you in a few minutes. You may want to wait for him to join you. I will say that your audio is not coming through completely clear. There's some static on the line here. I would be careful about how deep you venture.
Okay. I will take that under consideration. Maybe what we need to do is think about how to boost our communications. Like put an extender somewhere if we're going to have to go too far in. Okay, cool. I will think about that. Thank you, Rakahm.
Of course.
Okay. And she ends that call, and presumably the rest of the crew with her heard her have that conversation. So they know that one, Fida is coming, two, that we might want to be vaguely concerned about our communication network.
Okay, I think that's reasonable for everybody to know.
Yeah, and we already have comms on, so I would get on comms and ask Fida where he is. Because somebody should probably go outside so he knows that we're where we are.
Who volunteers as tribute?
I'll step outside to wave him in.
Yeah, not hard. For you, Fida, the overland travel isn't terribly difficult given your size and relative physical strength. Getting down into the valley is just being patient and finding handholds and proper footholds. But yeah, if you hadn't had someone, specifically showing you the pathway here, the place is obscured by all sorts of stuff.
Definitely a choice, as far as Fida is concerned. Yeah, he's making his way down. He just gets the comms. He's like, "Hello."
Fida, where are you?
I'm just reaching the bottom of a pretty steep slope here. Give me a second here. All right, at the bottom.
Yeah, Tamarisk is going to be stepping outside to help guide you into the structure.
If they have something shiny, they can just shine it at me, and I'll see where you guys are. I mean, simple solutions are good solutions.
Shiny, Tamarisk, get out the sequins and just.
I am the shiny.
Right.
Dear God, I see oh God, I'm blind. It's my eyes. Yeah, I should be there soon. I thought it was going to be a little bit rougher to get here, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, it doesn't take terribly long for you to link up with the rest of the crew, and you sort of begin to see the sort of a strange place that's been found.
So what? A secret? Are we thinking secret cult, or maybe evil villain lair? like in the hollows, or what other speculation do we have?
Well, all of that seems pretty.
Ooh, secret organization.
I'm just assuming it's an abandoned temple.
How long do we think this part of Menkar has been like this, like a desert, right? Do you think this was once like a really easily found place? Maybe they had a bridge to it, or is it always kind of a secret temple, do you think? And he's like looking around at all the dust and the dark alcoves and stuff. He's like, yeah.
Well, I think if we were going to try to find if there were easier paths to it, we would have to unearth it from the top and see if there's anything else that looks like it directly leads here, or if it is kind of nestled specifically in an underground cave. But I don't know if we want to spend the time doing that.
Well, I'm just here to follow orders. I don't know anything about archaeology. Whatever you guys need me to do. And he kind of just shrugs. He's like, that's what I'm here for.
So these doors that are on the left and the right, are they also closed, or are they just doorways?
No, they are. They're just doorways. They're not closed.
Okay.
I sort of have a different way of thinking about underground spaces than a lot of folks do, and that is, I think it's far more creepier if there are no doors.
Because you can't shut them behind you to stop something from coming at you. Yes.
Yeah,
It's a horror
great.
movie. Who wants to go first?
Me.
Okay.
I want to go first.
So then, Kainat, if you would, tell us which choice you're going to make. Are you going to continue on down this original hallway here to find something, we'll just say, deeper into the structure? Are you going to stop at the door on the left? Are you going to stop at the door? So you're going to stop at the doorway on the left, or the one on the right? What's the choice?
So what I'm going to do, and I'll be letting the rest of the group know that if they want to come with me, that's fine. I'm just going to go to the T intersection that's down there and kind of look either way. I'm not going to go down either path, but I want to see if there's additional rooms that we would that we could potentially look into. And if there's essentially a doorway at the ends of these passages, as far as maybe there's a bigger room or longer hallways past that. And once I look down either way, I'd be coming back to look in the room on the left. Down the hall, look left and right, come back and go in the door that's on the left.
Okay, so you go down the hallway, and then you look right and left. So when you look left, that hallway goes left probably 20 or 30 feet. There does seem to be a opening there, it opens into a larger space. When you look right, you see another door, not a doorway, but another door. And when you turn around and thus look at the door, which would have been to your left as you entered, you see a doorway there. You see, something a little strange. Against the far wall in this space, there is the upper body, the upper torso of what looks like a sculpture. It's attached to the wall. There is a head, and there are what are clearly 4 limbs. So, standard arms, left and right, and then underneath of it, there are another smaller set of arms. So we'll say full-grown human arms, which everybody here has, and then almost preteen-esque limbs that are attached at just below the armpit of the first one.
Now, is that in just one part of the room, or is there a mirroring image on the other side?
No, that's the only thing that's in this room.
Okay, I'm going to leave that and come back to it.
Okay.
And I'm going to go across the hall.
You go across the hall.
Is the rest of the party just
That's a good
hanging
question.
out?
I think they're just standing there befuddled, scared.
I'm just going everywhere, shining lights everywhere. Well, look at that. Look at that.
Fida's keeping up. He's got some measuring tools in his tool set. He's just got a laser rangefinder. be taking rough dimensions.
So, at the other room, the room across the hall from the strange sculpture, you see a significant amount of floor sculptures. Now, these are objects, different geometric shapes are here. They seem to be laid out on a floor which has lines and grooves in it. The statues are from anything diminutive to say maybe a foot tall to some of the larger pieces which are maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. And there does seem to be a row of benches that sit around this space.
Are the lines in the floor, are they a grid pattern?
Not directly, no. They're more like rails.
Oh. Okay. Well, that kills my theory of it being an ancient chess set, so.
Fida's looking at it and he's like, pushes one of the little the foot tall things with his foot along the rail if possible.
Yeah, it moves. As it moves, the light in the room changes.
And he pauses and like slowly turns to Kaina and he's like, do you think the two are related? Like, I moved the statue, the light changed.
Well, it could very likely have an effect. And I'm going to walk into the room and I'm going to grab a different rail.
You grab a different rail.
Do I also get a light that changes?
You do not.
And he like shifts the piece further along the rail till it's in the next square.
Okay. So this is where you begin to notice where the light is coming from. So when you turn back towards, we'll just say the front of the location where you would enter via the stairs, and you see that very slowly there are 4 windows that seem to be opening. Slowly, you see the sun beginning to stream in. And as you move the piece, it goes higher and higher. And the ceilings in here are probably 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And you see these windows now expose this room to sun.
And he's just like, how the fuck did they build that? He's like, because I didn't see any shutters from outside. And like a shutter would have been visibly different from rock. But, maybe they painted it. Maybe they painted a shutter. That's fine. Not a big deal. Yeah, he's going to stop what he's doing. He's just going to turn to Kaina. And he's just going to be like, I'm happy to move whatever you tell me to move. But I think you're probably the one that knows a bit more about this than I do.
Maybe.
Do these statues have any kind of relevance that you know of? I mean, obviously the forearm thing is weird, but...
Can I roll my ancient cultures again?
You can, but I'm going to give you a complication. And that complication is that the iconography, the pictures, the scene here is really far outside of what you know and what you covered.
Okay.
You don't yet have a basis of understanding what this culture was.
Okay. That's okay. I didn't get any successes anyway.
So yeah, I guess Icarus, Captain, Hammerus, what are the 3 of you doing?
Well, I had followed Kainat and Fida.
They're playing with sculptures.
I was going to look at the creepy statue.
Oh, okay. The creepy statue in the other room.
Yeah.
Icarus is staying put in this first room because she feels like somebody should, in case something happens, in case somebody else comes down. She's still very nervous about the fact that she hasn't seen any larger animals or any insects, because there are these rodents, but they have to eat something. And there has to be something that eats the rodents. In her experience, there will always be a predator. And if the outside is inhospitable, they're down here somewhere. So she's nervous.
Okay.
Her jungle senses are tingling.
So, Tamaris, this sculpture is interesting on many levels. The body doesn't look human. It doesn't necessarily have to. because sculptures can be taken for all sorts of different impressions and reasons. For you, really, though, it's the lack of a head that is concerning.
So it looks like it was intentionally made without a head. It's not like it's broken and the head is missing.
You know, you're not quite sure. There does seem to be some sort of indent or divot where the neck is, right? Like the neck was built up, and then one could, by a first glance at this sculpture, say, oh, well, the creator just simply didn't give it a head. But as you look closer and closer at it, you see that there is some sort of indent or some sort of nub there that perhaps there was a head.
And there is no head now, which means something took the head, but not the rest of this. That's interesting. Huh. Have I heard any stories or anything of beings with multiple arms or jinn or anything like that that could look like this? Or
Multi-armed jinn, absolutely. There are many myths and tales which involve jinn that have any number of appendages.
Okay.
That's just the nature of stories. As far as something without a head, no. The closest comp would be something like stories about the Faceless One, but there is still a head.
That's unsettling. Very unsettling. I think I'm going to go find everybody else now.
You head off. Those of you in the sculpture room, Fida, are you going to continue to adjust or move that small sculpture?
Yeah. He does take out a pad, like a tablet, and start making notes that he's like, basically he gives it an X and a Y axis, and he just starts numbering cells, and he's like, right, so I've moved this one from here to here, and it has done this.
Yeah, it's sort of surprising for you, especially because you get to this sort of pattern of, okay, if I move it here, if I move it here, if I move it here. You get to about 3/4 across that room with the rail, and you realize that it doesn't seem to want to go back. It'll certainly move forward still, but even after a little adjustment, even after accidental adjustment of trying to move it backwards, it doesn't move.
Yeah, I think he finds that by accident. He's just like, uh-oh. And he just turns to the captain and he's like, so whatever I'm doing with this isn't reversible. If I cause something, I don't know that I can stop it.
Then maybe we should wait.
Well, so far I've just opened some windows. So, small figure is open windows.
So how big was this figure that just stuck in place?
It's maybe a foot tall or so. It's a little pedestal, and then on top of it there is essentially, geometrically speaking, a diamond that has small bulbed portions at each point.
All right, I'm going to do the next one in the sequence up, and we'll see if that can move. If I move it one square, does anything change? Sound good?
Yes, and if nothing changes, I'd like to go back down the hallway because there's more stuff down there.
All right. So yeah, he's going to go to the next one in the next size up, and he's just going to start pushing along the rail.
Okay, you go to the next portion of it. The windows that are there, these 4 lines that sort of bring in the day's sun, they go all the way to the top, and it's really sudden. So they shift from like 3/4 of the room to all the way at the top. And this room begins to get warmer. Noticeably so. Not like hot, but the sun from what comes outside through these windows, it does seem to amplify the heat. So it's no longer as clammy maybe or as cold as sort of this internal mountainous cave that's been turned into whatever it is here. But there's definitely
just the rock heat. It's got like actual warmth.
Yeah.
It's not just the residual heat that gets through the rock is what I mean. It's now got actual solar heat.
Icarus, give me a wits observation roll.
That look of dread.
Only good things come from these.
2 successes.
You feel it before you hear it. There's something underneath your feet that moves. Sort of like the same sort of rumble when the door opened originally. The stone doors behind you that the captain had worked so hard to open slam shut. All of you hear the doors shut behind you. You feel it, Icarus.
As she gets on comms to the rest of the crew, says, "What did you do?"
I think that's a great place for this episode to end. And so we'll thank you, the listener, for joining us for this episode of Children of the Periphery. A Coriolis Chronicle is put on by the Old Ways podcast. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next episode.